Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're digging into Google's latest model, Gemini 3 Flash, and we're asking a really big question. Can one single AI model finally deliver on top-tier intelligence, blazing fast speed, and low cost all at the same time? All right, so let's get right into it. If you're in the AI space, you know that developers are constantly up against this really tough choice. You could call it the AI trilemma. For a long time, you could only pick 2 out of 3. You want a model that's smart and fast, it's going to be expensive. You want it smart and cheap, okay, but it's going to be slow. And if you want it fast and cheap, well, you're going to have to sacrifice a lot of that intelligence. That has been the fundamental trade-off, right? But what if a model could actually break that compromise? Well, Google is claiming its new model, Gemini 3 Flash, does exactly that. They say it's pushing what's known as the Pareto frontier, which is really just a fancy way of saying it's shifting the entire curve of what's possible, trying to give us the best of all 3 worlds. So what exactly is this thing? You can think of Gemini 3 Flash as a hybrid. It's designed to give you the really powerful, deep reasoning you get from a big pro model, but with the speed, efficiency, and importantly, the price tag you'd expect from a much smaller, lighter model. And what's really interesting here is how Google itself is talking about it. This quote makes it clear they aren't just saying, hey, here's a faster, cheaper model. They're explicitly stating that their goal is to completely eliminate that trade-off between speed and raw intelligence. Okay, so that's the claim, but does the data actually back it up? Let's take a look at the numbers. And we're not just taking Google's word for it. Third-party benchmarks from a group called Artificial Analysis really give us a clear picture. First up, intelligence. On the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index, the new Flash scores a 71. Now, that's a massive 13-point jump from its predecessor, and it's only 2 points behind the much larger, much more expensive Gemini 3 Pro model. It's playing in the big leagues now. Now let's talk about speed. Look at this. At 218 output tokens per second, it is just dramatically faster than other models in its same intelligence class. And get this, it's more than twice as fast as Gemini 3 Pro. But here is the real kicker, the final piece of the puzzle, cost. So you've got this pro-level intelligence and incredible speed, and yet its super low price makes it by far the most cost-efficient model in this entire performance category. It's just no contest. You know, benchmarks on a chart are one thing, but where this model really seems to flex its muscles is in its coding abilities. In some of these anonymous arena tests, it was able to generate unbelievably complex applications from just a single prompt. I mean, we're talking about creating a mini operating system that runs in a browser, or coding an entire interactive 3D watch movement. And on the SWA bench, which is a really tough benchmark for coding agents, it actually scored higher than Gemini 3 Pro. That makes it perfect for those complex agentic workflows. So, if you're a developer, how do you actually tap into all this power? Well, Gemini 3 comes with 2 really critical new features in its API that give you much more fine-grained control over how the model behaves. Okay, the first one is called thinking level. This is a new parameter that basically lets you tell the model how much effort, how much thinking it should put into generating a response. This way, you can balance speed and cost against just how complex the reasoning needs to be for any given task. The second new tool is something called thought signatures. And you can think of these as the model's short-term memory. So to make sure the model actually remembers its reasoning from one step to the next in a complex task, developers have to pass these signatures back and forth with each API call. And I cannot overstate this. This is absolutely crucial if you're trying to build reliable agents or any kind of multi-step tool use. The good news though, if you're using the official Google SDKs, this whole process is handled for you automatically in the background. So let's pull all of this together. What's the final verdict here? Who should actually be using Gemini 3 Flash? All right, let's break it down. The pros are pretty obvious. You're getting pro-level intelligence, it's incredibly fast, and it's super cost-efficient. Now, on the flip side, developers do need to be aware of a few things. It has a slightly higher hallucination rate than some of its peers, and it is still technically in preview. But the bottom line is, for things like agentic coding and highly interactive apps, the performance you get for price is just a game changer. So really, the main thing to take away from all this is that Gemini 3 Flash is not just another small incremental update. It feels like a totally new class of model. It's been built from the ground up for developers who are creating those sophisticated agents and apps that have to be both incredibly smart and super responsive, all without destroying their budget. Ultimately, this release really tears down a major barrier for building more powerful AI tools. The conversation is no longer about which corner of the trilemma you have to sacrifice. The only question left is, when you don't have to choose between smart, fast, and affordable anymore, what new things become possible? What will you build next?